Hello DevOps friends, welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen, the Monospace mentor. Welcome to my stream. Hailing to you today from Wayland. And so I had a few issues with my workstation earlier this week where I got random errors starting GNOME applications from XCB, which is a component of the X11 stack. And it said, something's not right, and I can't start that application. So I tried to debug that a little and didn't get far. And then I realized, everyone's jumping ship and switching to Wayland anyway. Both KDE and GNOME have now announced that they'll drop X11 support in a later release. And so I thought, well, let's give Wayland another try. I haven't used Wayland much before because my machine here runs with an NVIDIA card, and as we all know, Wayland and NVIDIA aren't the best of friends. But recent driver updates are supposed to have updated or improved that situation, so I decided to try Wayland, and so far so good. One thing that I've just only now discovered is that OBS doesn't display my custom docs anymore, so I don't have my chat doc where it is supposed to be. And that's one thing that I'd like to quickly research here, because, I have no idea where that is. Let me Google that. I think, yeah, why not share that as well? So here's my screen, and there's another Wayland artifact, and that's the flickering in the lower right corner. But I hope that doesn't bother you as much. I'm probably not going to notice at all. So let's see. Custom docs missing in Windows. Nope. Custom browser docs missing. Custom browser doc. Window under Wayland is what? Is transparent. Okay. No, I don't even have it in my menu anymore. So the docs menu in my OBS has the default docs, but there's no custom docs menu item anymore, and the custom docs I had have vanished as well. Now I can't, for apparent reasons, compare that to my X11 stack, because the thought just crossed my mind that this might be a software update. I think I have automatic updates enabled because I'll install them anyway, so I can't actually tell if that was a recent update. Maybe I should actually disable automatic updates. How do I do that? Let's see. Software preferences. Okay, automated updates is switched off. I get automatic update notifications when updates have been installed. Well, when they have been installed, I don't actually need a notification anymore because I will have triggered them manually anyway. So let's switch that off too. There are 2 updates available for Obsidian and Signal, but nothing that relates to OBS. Now I clicked a button that it wasn't supposed to click. Let's see what the state of OBS is on FlatHub at the moment. Okay. Maybe let's try and widen that search. OBS Linux custom docs missing. That's a fairly recent entry here. Version 27 is supposed to have added custom docs to both Mac and Linux version of OBS. On Arch Linux, there's no such option. It got disabled for Wayland in RC3, but there's no mention of this in the final release. So there is Wayland related stuff. Tried it on KDE in a VM, as I'm not running Wayland yet. It's just Qt QPA platform equals XCB. You can force it to run on X Wayland and you'll have access to browser docs, but you'll have trouble capturing Wayland windows. Yeah, that's... Well, I'm not going to capture Windows, I'm capturing the whole screen, so... You're probably better off switching back to X11 completely. Yeah, that's something that I was afraid of, that there is some kind of a showstopper that will force me to go back to X11. Exegete, hey, how are you doing? Welcome to the stack. Let me get my projector where it's supposed to go. And where is that? That's over here. Okay. Yeah, so just to catch you up, I've switched my workstation to Wayland because I had issues with XZB. no idea what exactly the issue is. I didn't investigate that thoroughly. Instead, I decided to give Wayland a try, which is supposed to be running better with NVIDIA these days. But now OBS is missing my custom browser docs, and yeah, I don't actually know why. So maybe let me go in OBS help about. I'm running OBS 29.1. Okay, maybe I should go to the GitHub repository. Let's take a look at Wayland. Graphical artifacts in audio mixer? No, I don't have any artifacts. And now there's actually no flickering anymore in the lower right corner, at least not anything that's discernible. Oh yes, there is. Okay, it's flickering a little, depending on what's getting displayed, I guess. Okay. I wouldn't call it extreme graphical glitches. Disappear and disabling X11 entirely. I have no idea if I'm running X-Wayland here. That's also 29.1.3. Flat up, yep. Yes, Wayland is an alternative to X11. Maybe I'll talk about that for a minute. X11, as you might know, is pretty old as a graphical subsystem. It's been around for decades now and has been the basis for all graphical desktops on Unix and Linux systems up until recently. X11 carries a lot of baggage and by now is almost unmaintained because the original developers have all disappeared apparently. And what I mean by baggage is, for example, that X11 was designed as a client-server protocol. If you've ever gone through the confusing X-server versus X-client discussion, where you realized, okay, so the machine I'm running with the monitor, that's the X-server actually, and where the application is running, that's the X-client, because the client wants to have windows displayed by the server. And so it's completely opposite as it's normally, where your workstation is the client, say, of a Samba server or something like that. In X, it's the other way around. The machine you're sitting at is the X server, and the application might run elsewhere as a client. So X11 has all this network stuff built in, and another thing that X11 shares with protocols of old is that there wasn't much thought put into security considerations. And so X11 has become pretty weak if you hold it to today's standards. And that's why at the end of the early 2000s, 2008 or something like that, there started a new initiative, and that's what Wayland has become. It's a new graphical subsystem that desktop systems can use, and that takes care of all the rendering and stuff. And it is supposed to be more secure and more modern. But as you can see, because it's 2023 now, and Wayland has still not conquered the market, it's pretty much still a work in progress. And there's also an issue in terms of hardware support, because NVIDIA, especially the proprietary NVIDIA drivers, don't support Wayland greatly. But apparently in recent months this year, I would say NVIDIA has made great strides towards supporting Wayland, because I think they can see the writing on the wall. Eventually, Wayland is going to succeed X11, and you can tell by all the major desktop environments proclaiming that they'll drop X11 support in a later release. KDE has announced that they'll drop X11 in one of their future versions, and GNOME has done the same. So, and even XFCE is definitely aiming at getting proper Wayland support, and will then also drop X11, I suppose. So, Wayland is definitely on the way, but in some areas it's not really there yet. And I suppose the issue that I'm having at the moment might actually be one of these edge cases where Wayland isn't supported properly yet. In this case by OBS, and it seems it's not even related to the NVIDIA drivers. It looks like OBS in general doesn't support Wayland fully yet. There's also an issue, by the way, with Wayland. Because it's supposed to be more secure, it doesn't let applications just grab screen content willy-nilly anymore. So screen sharing and things like that have become more complicated for security's sake. And that also makes things a little bit harder for application developers who before could simply ask X11 for the contents of a specific window or something like that. And get the content without asking, without any questions asked. So no, it's a completely new project. It's a completely new project. They started from scratch. And yeah, it's one of these projects, I would say personally, that has the best of intentions, but it's really going slowly. I mean, they're also trying to replace one of the most central and most fundamental systems we have on our Linux machines when we're talking about desktop machines. So apart from the Linux kernel, I guess the graphical subsystem is the next most important system, and replacing that definitely is a big task. So let me try and investigate that a little more, because it'll definitely influence where I'm going with my desktop and with my stream. So let's see. I think disabling X11 in the FlatHub permissions settings entirely and enabling direct GPU access seems to fix this problem entirely. But there was no X11 fallback. Why was it using that anyways? Your log states that you are using Wayland backends, not X11 through Wayland. Yeah, so there's also a translation layer that's called X-Wayland that is supposed to be used by applications that don't yet talk to Wayland directly. So that can sometimes help and sometimes get in the way as well. Yeah, so forking X11 wasn't an option because the source code is just too convoluted and too hard to maintain. That's, yeah, I can imagine that's a code base that you can't easily refactor. And that would so trying to get X11 up to today's standards would probably have taken at least as long as it has taken Wayland to get here. So, as we do not support running under X-Wayland. So what I can do is, let me try and start Flatseal. which is the application that makes modifying the, let's call it sandbox environment of Flatpaks. How did I start this sentence? It makes modifying that environment easier. There's also a Flatpak override command on the command line. Okay, so I have set in OBS. I can't show you. I can show you that. It's not in my stream VM, but I can, of course, overlay FlatSeal over my stream VM window. As you can see, I have fallback to X11 window system switched off. But the X11 windowing system is turned on and Wayland is turned on. So I would assume that I'm running under Wayland. And it says Pulse Audio Sound Server. Interesting. I have never seen these permissions. And but seeing that reminds me that I had issues using the Pipewire audio plugin. Pulse Audio does work still, even though it's superseded by Pipewire, because Pipewire has Pulse Audio compatibility built in. But maybe switching that off might also resolve my Pipewire access issues. Okay, so I definitely should enable GPU acceleration. No idea if that has effect or not. I would assume that my GPU is in operation with OBS, but no idea. But I guess enabling that would be a good step in the right direction. What else is there? Devices, input devices, virtualization is not necessary, shared memory either. All devices is switched on. I guess that covers GPU acceleration as well. Then what do we have here? Bluetooth, okay. All system files, interesting. Yep, that allows me to save my recordings wherever I want. Otherwise, I would have to enter exceptions. Persistent files, environment. There's a VST setting that I dabbled with. System bus. Okay. Portals, background notifications, camera. Guess I should also enable camera here, even though obviously camera access is there. Okay, so there isn't anything that would point to a misconfiguration here. I think as long as I have fallback X11 disabled, it should see that I'm running under Wayland and use Wayland as well. But as a Firefox lover commented here, I think disabling X11 entirely and enabling direct GPU access seems to fix this problem. Okay. Your log states that you are using Wayland. Okay, so this is inconclusive, I'd say. What else do we have? VST plugins, that's something that I'll investigate another day. VST plugins are audio plugins for mostly used in audio production, but of course OBS also does some audio processing with its own built-in filters, and the VST plugins will allow you to run professional audio plugins in OBS as well. So if you need a parametric equalizer with 24 bands, then you can actually use VST plugins in OBS. No idea why you would, but anyway, that's not relevant for my issue at the moment. Which is one thing that's also strange is that browser sources seem to work. Yes, I can see my music updates coming in. So the reason why I say that that's strange is because the browser docs in OBS are basically the same thing, I would say, but not displayed on screen and in the OBS UI instead. So thankfully I don't have any of these major issues that are listed here. These are 19 opened, okay. Now let's look for my specific issue with the custom docs not being available. Nothing that's open and only 19 closed. Browser docs now works under Wayland. That's OBS, which version? No idea. Expected behavior would be to not work without the temporary commit that disables custom browser docs on Wayland. Steps to reproduce: clone OBS Studio, revert commit, build from source, start OBS with Qt for X. Custom browser docs works. But that's with GDK backend equals X11. You are under Wayland, so an X11 implementation. Oh yeah, okay. So if you switch the GDK backend to X11, then of course that'll try to talk X, and that's only possible through X Wayland then. Let me make this a little bit larger, not only for your sake, but also for my eyes. My old eyes. Let's not focus on so many results. Is there any other way? Browser docs are disabled on Wayland because of a CEF bug/limitation. That's why OBS prevents the creation on Wayland. Do not support running under X Wayland, so I guess that's still the case. That's from August. And here no Electron says, I get what you mean, but the limitation is no more. If you start OBS without the flags, OBS works, but browser docs are disabled, so there's no issue. If you start with the flags, it also adds the browser docs to the already working OBS setup, with pipe wire, screen capture, etc. And here the merge request or the commit does actually state what I was wondering earlier. When running on Wayland, the browser docs look broken and sometimes they crash OBS Studio. Interestingly, browser sources seem to work just fine. So there is obviously a difference because one works and the other doesn't, even though they are both pulling in web content using HTTP, I guess. Ideally, we'd be able to dig into the issue and find the root cause, but time is short for the 27 release, and disabling the docs until this is figured out seems to be the best alternative for now. Of course, this is a temporary workaround, and eventually this commit will be reverted. Yeah, of course. Eventually. So, they did link to this commit here. OBS browser. So that's the an issue with the OBS browser plugin. That's the shared code base here, but apparently docs and browser sources are different. All right, and that's related to this issue. Custom browser dock under Wayland is transparent, and then there's the... That's a pull request, okay. But still related to 279. Mm-hmm. I can only assume that this is still not resolved, even though it was this workaround was introduced in OBS 27, and we are now in OBS 29. Okay, well that explains things at least, and actually I can live without these browser docs. I have enough of screen real estate to open up a browser and have that stuff separately. Maybe it'll even improve my overall UI here. Okay, so enough housekeeping. Oh, Exegete asked Pipewire. Is that like a pipe cleaner? What kind of stuff you smoking that needs a wire brush? I guess if you're smoking something, it's always related. There's always tar in the mix, so you need to clean that stuff up. But Pipewire is an audio subsystem. But yeah, it's not exactly just an audio subsystem, because as I or was mentioned in the issue that I read, Pipewire also provides screen and window access to OBS, and Pipewire is maybe it's correct to call it a media subsystem. It's used in all current distributions at the moment. In that way, Pipewire has replaced Pulse audio. Okay, so while we're talking about housekeeping, I've just updated my training website with a new color theme. So if you go to my courses overview, you'll see the new colors. They're a little bit retro inspired with that orange and the brownish and purplish colors here, but I really do like that. Orange has become my favorite color this year, and that's something that I did on the Podia training platform, and still need to then move to my main website, where I still have the white and blue color theme, which is a little bit boring, I think. So yeah, that's also an update. Another update is that I decided to make the Linux Master Course, the community version of it, free again. It's not tied to a subscription anymore, because that doesn't seem to have been picked up much. And I'd rather have people purchase the course materials and spend money there, and then I'll provide the support for free as a service to the community. And the course website for the community course does already reflect that. So if you scroll down on my courses page past the for pay courses that I'm still preparing, and you go to the Linux Master Course Community Edition, then you can see that it's free. All right, okay, so what are we going to do today? I'd like to continue my work on the Prometheus black box exporter. Apparently I don't have a terminal in my dock down here. No idea why that is. Do I have black box installed already? No. So let's install that, because yeah, I had to replace Westterm as my terminal emulator because it has also some issues with Wayland, and I'm not tied to my terminal emulator that much, so I quickly switched to Blackbox, which is a really nice terminal emulator for GNOME. It's not configured correctly, obviously. Do I have Dropbox on my VM here? I'm afraid I don't, I guess. Is there a Dropbox folder? No, so I don't have access to my font library as well, which is sad. I have to solve that. But we can at least give this a different theme, so it doesn't blind me and my viewers here as much. Appearance, application, style, follow system. No, don't follow the system. I'd like it dark. Theme integration, yes. And I think the third one here is Dracula. So that is much nicer, isn't it? What kind of a prompt is that? Am I running C Shell? No, that's Bash. Okay. Why is it running Bash? I'm running bin sh as my main shell. That is very strange. Okay, sudo user mod -s bin z. What is going on here? I've been working on this on this VM before, haven't I? That's the demo VM, yeah. And there's no Z-shell? I'm confused. Can somebody tell me what's going on? That's Westterm in my demo VM, where it still works because the demo VM apparently doesn't use Wayland. How's that possible? Oh wait, did something get confused here? That might not be the black box that I was trying to... Well, yes it is. That's black box terminal. There's definitely a user bin Z shell. What is going on? What's that environment? Oh yes, please remember window size. We can make this a little bit larger too. Let's go to 16. But not Droid Sans. Let's pick something that's a little bit better suited. I do have operator mono installed already, so let's take that. 16, yeah, okay. It's instances like this where I really doubt my perception. Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing. Just a second. So I have this strange prompt that tells me com reg is silver black box. I'm on my demo VM, but there is no /user bin z shell. Am I running in a container or something? How do I find out where this is actually running? I'm in home Jeeves. This is holding me up. I'm well aware that I'm yuck shaving here, but this is just too strange. So let's try and start another where's term instance where I do have a Z shell and where wait, yeah, I'm running. I think that's black box in the sense that that's the black box Linux environment. No idea why it's starting like that. That didn't happen on my workstation. Yeah, maybe I'll go that way. For example, bin sh. That goes to bash. Bin bash is bin bash. NFS nobody. NFS nobody. For some reason, this blows my mind. So let's start by if I go into where's term and I start black box. Nope. If I do a flatpak run then I get a new black box window here. The software I installed. Now lots of updates. Oh, I think it's updating to GNOME 45 here, huh? Judging by that, it's updating the Noto font. Yeah, it also says Fedora Linux 39 available. I can actually upgrade that. But that's a further distraction. Let me see. So there's K Black Box. That's a game. And Black Box is a beautiful GTK4 terminal. Why does it throw me into this strange change root environment or whatever that is? Oh, talking about change root. there shouldn't be an issue with Flatpak. How very strange. Let's investigate that. Black box. No, black box. Unknown shell environment, something like that. Official Dracula theme? Apparently the one that's built in is not official. What is going on? This looks like my home directory. So if I do user what? So there's user bin C shell. And there's also C shell. And if I do the same here, so there's zip split, zless, zmore, znew, zstandard is missing here. And here's, this is yeah, something's not right. But what is exactly going on here? Directory, home directory. This is so strange. Let me log in again. So if I start black box now, still that. Okay, let's actually... Oh, you don't even have Platzo installed here. No black box. Flatpak. This only happens on my VM here. I have no idea why that is.
All we got is right now, 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 and it's right now, 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 and it's right now, 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 and it's right now, now, now. And it's right now, 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 and it's right now, 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 and it's right now, 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 and it's right now, now, now. Now, 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 and it's right now, 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 and it's right now.
Let me compare versions. So we are running Blackbox 0.14.0 and on my workstation it's 0.14.0 as well. How very strange. That's something about that I'd like to know though, because that is so strange if that happens. I would probably, if I were to describe this issue, also mention that the prompt is strange. Okay, let's see. It supports X11 and Wayland. It also supports fallback. Don't think that's relevant. It gets access to all devices, all system files, and I guess all user files too, right? But that might actually include all system files, or be included by all system files. It's so annoying that things do this. This is so confusing. Let's install a different terminal emulator. I'm not going to do a full system update yet. Well, I guess I could start GNOME terminal, right? Yep. And that works as expected. Installed from Fedora though. Maybe I need to fix something with my Flatpak installation here. That might be actually the reason. Let's see. Software repositories. Let's disable the Fedora Flatpaks. And FlatHub is enabled, so I have even RPM Fusion for the, yeah, okay. So let's get rid of Blackbox again. What else is from Fedora here? The dconf editor. And then Fedora platform itself. Okay, let's start software again. Let's try black box. From FlatHub, please. Huh. Damn you, Fedora repository. So, just to make sure we are running Fedora Workstation on this VM, right? Yeah. Let's also uninstall Flat Seal, just so I don't run into any other issues. That should have taken care of everything except for the Fedora platform, which still comes from Fedora. Yeah, that's fair. And that's going to upgrade to Fedora 39. But we'll do that another day. I still want to do something productive today. So let's try and get something done, right? Okay. Yeah, let's go into source FreeStyle. Okay, I don't have the... Okay. We'll have to take a different approach here. Since I want to work on my chef cookbooks, I need to work from my local workstation where I have access to virtualization itself. So I'm going to shut down this VM. You can always start it later if necessary. And I guess I'll just get a new black box window from my workstation. Maximize that here. We should actually use a bigger font. Is that possible? Yep. And let's also make... let's... pull this up here. Okay. Let's go in my toolbox environment and start this. Okay. And now I'm already in my branch 876 black box exporter. Let's take a look at what I did. Black box exporter setup. Yeah, so I think the black box exporter setup. Let's take a look at that commit. Just a second. That's Prometheus X. That's the whole Prometheus X cookbook. That does the... Okay, so we have a few layers here that we need to untangle. We have two chef cookbooks that take care of our Prometheus setup. One is a base cookbook called Prometheus X, which does the basic installation of Prometheus and the node exporter, and now also the black box exporter. And then there's Prometheus Freestyle, which is the company-specific setup that is based on the Prometheus X cookbook. So the Prometheus X cookbook basically provides us with the primitives we need to get our custom and specific setup for our hosting infrastructure. And Prometheus X has now a new recipe called Black Box Exporter. And let's take a look at that. By the way, I want to update my dot files as well. So let's quickly switch to a dot files session, which is already running. Yes, of course, I'm running on my workstation, so I don't actually have to update my dot files because they are already up to date. Okay, that's nice. What do we do here? We install Black Box Exporter, which is pretty simple thanks to all the Prometheus stuff being written in Go. And then we create a configuration file for the Black Box Exporter. Where we use a node attribute as the content for that file. Okay, let's take a look at the default content of that hash that we turn into YAML here. That's in the attributes directory, and here we have down here Black Box Exporter config is empty by default, so there isn't even much to write. Okay, then we create a hash of options that are passed to the Black Box Exporter at startup, which then gets used in this systemd unit, and that's it. So by default, this recipe will install Black Box Exporter from the tarball using version information from node attributes, so we can actually influence the version that gets installed by modifying the attributes of a specific server. Usually we define these attributes centrally as a role, and then we assign this role to all the servers that are relevant, and that way we have the same version of the Black Box Exporter as is the case for any other software as well, in a consistent way across all our infrastructure. And so if this runs, or when this runs, it'll set up basically a Black Box Exporter without any configuration. And I wonder if that is actually something that can work. We can find out by simply running one of our test suites here. Let's list them first. Yeah, I need to switch directories, so let's do that for the shell here. First, we'll go into source Prometheus X. And if I create a new Tmux window, I'll be in that directory already, so we can do tkl, which gives me the list of test suites here. And as you can see, there are two test suites, default and Prometheus, both for Ubuntu 16 and Ubuntu 20. Let's take the Ubuntu 20 version. Default might actually not have the black box exporter included? Oh yes, it does. As you can see in our kitchen YAML here, where all these test VMs are defined, we have the default suite that installs the node exporter, the black box exporter, and a Prometheus server. So, and then there's the Prometheus test suite that installed the node exporter Prometheus, but no black box exporter, and then a node exporter text file configuration. I guess that means I'll have to run the default test setup. What's the difference in terms of tests that get exercised? Here in test integration, I have a few housekeeping directories as well as directories that are named after the test suite. So default and Prometheus are the actual tests, and default does have a black box exporter spec even. Okay, which Prometheus can't have because it doesn't even install black box exporter. So what does the black box exporter spec test? It is, tests if the black box exporter service is enabled and running, and then it tries to access the black box exporter on port 9115, and that should work and should include the text black box exporter. So yeah, I guess if that test suite already proves that you can run black box exporter with an empty configuration, I'll run it anyway because it's been a few weeks since I worked on this cookbook. So let's do a TKC, which is test kitchen converge, which means run a VM, install chef and everything, and then run the test suite, and then stop. So I have a running Linux machine with everything set up, and I guess I need the default 2004 test suite here. And here it spins up a VM using KVM, and it'll then install chef, and then it'll run the chef recipes that I have configured for the test suite, which will include the black box setup and test. Well, actually not the test, to be precise. I would then have to run test kitchen verify to get the test deployed and executed. I wonder if it would make sense to actually move my face on stream, because that would allow me to use the full screen real estate. So where is my face? That's my face here. Let's move myself over here. So now I can actually use the full screen space, which makes things a little bit easier. Okay, so test kitchen converge did work. If I do a TKV, which does the test kitchen verify, the test should be successful too, because I do remember finishing this successfully. And yes, it does start the black box exporter and also gets a black box exporter back when we do a HTTP request. So that does work. The question is, how do we actually test black box exporter? I guess we should set up a black box exporter use case. And yeah, we could do that if we knew how. So let's find out. So just a second. Ah, yeah, I'm getting confused now because I need a browser window as well. And for that, I could actually use my VM. So let's spin up that demo VM again. Unapplied changes. Would you like to apply them now? No. What changes? Okay, so that's that. And if I launch Firefox here. And yeah, let's check Prometheus, black box exporter. Let's take a look at the example configuration. There is a module HTTP 200 example, a HTTP prober, where it defines allowed HTTP versions and allowed status codes, and then we'll simply access something. Okay, we could do that. Yeah, these examples here are quite extensive and complex. There's a DNS TCP example, or even a, yeah, this DNS SOA check, where we check Prometheus.ie and query its SOA record. That looks simple enough and should actually work as long as Prometheus.io still exists. And that's all under modules, right? So why not try that? Let's see if we can make this work.
Drop it.
The only thing we need to do is go into our test configuration. And here we have attributes for Prometheus X, for Prometheus, for the node exporter, for the alert manager. Actually, we don't set up stuff. Oh, yeah, okay. The default test suite tests everything with default settings. And then we have the Prometheus test suite that then uses custom stuff. So I'll actually try and get a black box exporter configuration in here. That's column 9 down here.
Drop it.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. Ah, I can't copy between stuff. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, my setup here is a little bit too convoluted, I think. Okay, we'll have to take another approach here, otherwise I'll get confused. I'll shut this down. And then I'll open Okay. Here's also example config, but that's for Prometheus. Okay. So let's try the example configuration from here. And I'll just grab this simple DNS query. And so this all needs to be listed under black box exporter modules. No, config. So the indentation was correct. Let's double check if that's actually correct. So this file gets generated. No, cookbook name, black box exporter config, yeah. Which is exactly that. Cookbook name is further above, and then black box underscore exporter config, and that'll then write modules and so in here. Okay, let's. But now we'll have to get rid of the default container. So we'll shut down default Ubuntu 2004. TKD is short for Test Kitchen Destroy. And now we'll run Prometheus, Ubuntu 2004. Which doesn't include black box exporter setup yet, because it doesn't call the required recipe. So we need to copy this line here from the default test suite to here. And then we'll have to rerun the converge, but that's not a problem because Chef works what's called idempotently. So I can run recipes as many times as I want. If the system hasn't changed, Chef will also not make any changes. Chef will only make the changes that are necessary to set up the required state, and once that state is reached and not modified, Chef doesn't have to do anything. You can run the Chef recipes as many times as you want and you won't get any changes. And therefore, since configuration files don't get updated even with the same content, services don't get restarted and stuff like that, so everything is very stable after this initial converge run. Okay, now we have a black box exporter on this system, but how do we tell if that's actually configured correctly? Well, I can do TKS, which does a test kitchen login into the virtual machine. So if I go into Prometheus Ubuntu 2004, I'll get a shell in this virtual machine. Let's assume root. And let's go into etc Prometheus. And there's my blackbox exporter.yaml, and let's take a look at that. And yes, it has successfully written modules, DNS, SAOA, prober DNS, query name Prometheus. So I guess... no, I don't guess anything yet, because I have actually no idea what that means. So let's see. Black box exporter configuration. modules. So we have different modules. In this case, we'll have a DNS prober. DNS probe. Let's make sure this module is called DNS SOA. I guess that's an arbitrary name. Query name? We don't have a query name. Yes, we do. Okay, query name is the... Yeah. Query type is by default any. Okay. And there's also HTTP probes. We could also do a HTTP probe to, say, Google or something. We could do that as well. I'll still have to decide how or what I'm going to do. Now, how is Prometheus going to talk to the black box exporter? That's because the answer will determine how I am going to talk to the black box exporter. So yeah, let's maybe go back and take a look at the Prometheus configuration here. We'll of course need a new job name. In this case, we could call it black box. The metrics path is /probe, and that of course refers to the probe that has been set up in black box. So that would be /DNS SOA, right? Ah, okay. So this job actually talks to a local black box exporter. This more complex job here defines a test that gets actually passed to the black box exporter, which happens through these relabelings. So this constructs a whole query, and then it does actually not execute this query itself, but send it to the black box exporter. If I call /probe, do I get all the stuff back? I think I might. Okay. Maybe we'll just give it a try. Does Black Box Exporter already run with that configuration? I guess so. System control status Black Box Exporter. Yes, that has been running. Okay, curl localhost. It's 9115, right? So that's the main page. And there are actually links to different probes. No idea why that is, actually. Because I certainly didn't configure a HTTP probe. Recent probes. Nothing. Okay, let's call /probe, and then it says unknown module HTTP 2xx. So maybe that's the default configuration. So let's do a restart black box exporter. Nope, still the same. If I call probe. I get unknown module. Does get black box exporter started with this configuration file? Maybe there's a bug in there. Systemd, system, black box exporter service. There is a config file. Let's see Prometheus, blackbox exporter.yaml. We listen on 9115. Our external address is this. Is it though? Yeah, I guess it is. There's no Nginx configuration, right? Nope. Okay. What happens if I break my configuration? Maybe wait. Maybe something like that. System control, restart, black box, exporter. So if I do a status of that, that shouldn't run. Yeah. Guess I have to look at the configuration again. So we have modules. Where it says prober. Oh, we don't have any probers, just modules. Wait, here's a module. Yeah, and under module,
If you want it, you can have it.
wait, modules, and then we have a string. For the module. So that would be DNS. Here it says probe or DNS. Yes, okay. Ah, okay. We have modules, then a string. And that then defines a prober, that's DNS. And then what follows is a DNS probe. And there we have a query name. And lots of stuff that is probably not... Yeah, a query name and a query type is what we have defined, okay. Okay, so what we have seems to be okay. For a static predefined probe. I just have no idea why it doesn't actually do that. So let's take another look at what Blackbox Exporter actually returns. Oh, it's not running anymore. Yeah, we fixed the configuration, didn't we? System control restart, Blackbox Exporter. Strangely enough, it says probe and then target module. So if I do this by hand, I have no idea why it lists these specific probes, but what the heck? Let's do probe question mark module equals DNS underscore SOA. Target parameter is missing. Okay, we do need a target. Okay, so let's say target equals Prometheus.io. Prometheus.io. Oh, it's tripping over the ampersand. Nice. So I did a probe. Let's see. Probe DNS additional RSS. Connect, which is probably, yeah, seconds. So 10 to the power of -5. That's just a few nanoseconds, right? Here, 0. Yeah, 94 milliseconds. Here we have the DNS lookup time in seconds. Yeah, 94 milliseconds. Query succeeded is 0, which probably means... Well, 0 could mean actually success. IP protocol 6. I would rather have a IPv4 probe. And success 0, not sure. I think it might actually be failing because of the IP protocol. So we can find out how to do this. Where's the DNS probe? IP preferred IP protocol, and the default is DNS is IP6. Let's change this to IP4, preferred IP protocol. I'll make the change right in the VM, preferred IP protocol. Interesting. Does it actually time out here? That is curious. It still lists these bogus probes. So that's still something I'm missing. Let's just for experiment's sake change the host name. If that actually changes the host name in this strange default probe. Because it might be a coincidence that they are equal, but they might just not be a coincidence. Let's try google.com. Restored. Let's also see if it's actually running. Yeah, that does look good. So let's do another query. That hangs. Let's do the main page. It still says Pro Prometheus IO, so this seems to be some default here. No idea why. And why does IPv4 not work? Because if I do a host dash tsoa prometheus.io, we'll definitely get something. No idea if that host query goes through IPv6 though, but I'm pretty sure I don't even have a IPv6 address. No, we can't root IPv6, so that's not going to work anyway. Well, it might root internally, but the VM host won't be able to forward that. Can I use a different target? Apparently I can. And here the IP address hash is 8.2. Yeah, the IP address is definitely different. So we get something back. I guess success 0 does mean it's a success. And it looks like it does execute the DNS lookup too. Fine. You could also try a HTTP GET. There are far more modules in this example than are listed in the documentation. Like SSH, for example. IRC even. Wow. And there's also an ICMP probe. Okay, so these are more generic ways to define these and maybe declare a few default behaviors like timeout limits and stuff like that, but mostly it's just setting up probes that then get their parameters by the HTTP request to the black box exporter. So I could, for example, define the ICMP prober here. Yeah, let's do that too. I shouldn't even have to... something like this. And if I do a probe, say, we'll try Prometheus.io. That does work. If I invent a new domain, there's still success 0. But now... So there's still a lookup. DNS query succeeded is 0. Okay, let's switch to the ICMP probe or module. And we'll ping Prometheus.io. IP address seems to be still the same. If we try localhost. Okay, so the ICMP duration is very short because that's localhost. If you do Prometheus.io, that should be much longer. Duration for resolve. Yeah. It's 10 times as long. Now it's also very short. Let's see if the black box exporter does actually log anything? Yes, it does. But that's just the startup configuration. So it doesn't log activity. Fair enough. Let's set up the HTTP prober. Now let's try the HTTP. Wait, what did I set up? The 2xx, okay. Okay. Oh, we even get SSL information back here, so we definitely did talk to Prometheus IO. And probe success is 1 in this case, so my previous attempts were not successful with the ICMP and the DNS query. For some reason, yeah, I think I know why. Because target doesn't really work. Target is definitely an attribute of the HTTP module, but not of the DNS module, right? We should have used query or something, or query string. So let's go back to the actual probe definitions. Now I'm getting a grip on this. So let's see. We have modules. Here's the HTTP probe, and the central thing is it's authorization, proxy stuff, OAuth. Wait, where's the meat of the thing, which is the actual query? Okay, in this case it actually targets that. Okay, target might be then the DNS server that gets queried, and yeah, that might actually not work. Yes, yeah, the target of the DNS probe is a DNS server. And that's why, of course, Prometheus.io as a target doesn't work, because Prometheus.io isn't a DNS server. And with HTTP, I'm talking to a web server. And in that case, the target Prometheus.io does actually make sense. Okay, yeah, getting there. And the ICMP probe also has a target, and that should actually be an ICMP query to the target. No idea why that wouldn't be successful though. Okay, let's go back to our configuration. Okay, so the DNS probe probes a DNS server by getting the A record for google.com, right? So let's do a probe for the DNS module, and we'll target 1111, which is a DNS server. And probe success is 1, and maybe we even get back some payload. No, we don't, but that's fair. So yeah, that does work. And the IP address we get back is constant because this hash is constant. Okay, that's that. Now let's try ICMP. We could actually do ICMP to 1111. And probe success is 1. The resolve is in E-6. Let's do it 101, -5, -6. Okay. How about localhost or 127.0.0.1? Let's see if there is a difference in resolution time. It's all, yeah, it's mostly the same time, I guess. I guess I should look at the RTT, the round trip time, up here. So that's -5. And if I ping something on the internet, round trip time is, yeah, significantly higher. That's only 28, that's 28 milliseconds. 35, 48 milliseconds. And if I go back to localhost, round trip time is in the nanosecond area. Yeah, okay, that does make sense, and all these probes are actually successful. Now I think I have grasped what the black box exporter does. So what I need to set up with the black box exporter is basically just the modules that I want to have available. Okay. And for our test suite here, I think the ICMP probe would make sense. And we'll simply ping localhost and see that the probe success is 1. We could do that. So we set up a prober, which we'll call ICMP. And the module we'll call ping. Right? No? Let's see. Still not sure about the YAML schema here. Module, string module. The prober needs to be ICMP, but the module can have different configurations. That way, yeah, that way we can have actually a HTTP probe that queries with specific parameters and another HTTP probe that does it differently. So, yeah. Fair enough. Let's call this module ping. It uses the ICMP prober. And that's it, right? Yeah, we don't need much more. Okay. Let's converge again, which will reset our configuration and configure the ping probe. And that should still work. Oh no, the module ICMP isn't known anymore. You'll use ping. And the proper success is 1, which means that it did use the configuration. Okay, and that means we can actually copy the black box test from our default test suite and exercise the ping probe instead. Let's do that. Test integration default black box exporter to test integration Prometheus, where we will then don't even have to check if the black box exporter process is running. We'll go right ahead and query a probe with a ping and a target of localhost. The status should be 200 and the return payload should have probe success 1. Probe success 1. And that will tell us not only that black box exporter is running, but also that it has the correct configuration that can actually exercise a probe called ping with a target of localhost. So let's try that. We did configure it, and if we run verify, it'll upload my updated test. And where's the black box exporter test? We have 2 failures. Oh, that's not nice. Yeah, it does actually fail the probe. Unknown module HTTP2XX. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Let's converge one more time. Does it actually restart the black box exporter though? So we have the... Why do we still have the... No, it doesn't update the configuration file. Huh? Didn't I save this? It doesn't update the configuration file. How curious. We have the black box exporter recipe in there. Let's remove that. Chef should then recreate it correctly. Did it though? Here we have the recipe black box exporter. And here it actually writes DNS SOA and the ping. Where does the DNS SOA thingy come from? Are you kidding me? We have the ping probe in there, but also a DNS SOA probe that shouldn't be in there. Where does Chef take this from? How very strange. That's certainly not the behavior I would have expected. This is confusing the heck out of me. I mean, the ping probe should still work. And we call probe ping. But it actually tries to use a HTTP module. Yes, but because I have I didn't use probe equals. Yeah, okay. Okay. But still, why does it have the DNS setup in there? So my probe is definitely not correct. Fine. Let's go here and say what does it have to say, actually? It's probe module equals ping and then target. Okay. Fine. Module equals ping and the target. Okay. That should fix the test. Yeah, it does. We do get... where is it? Here. Probe module ping. We get a probe success 1 back. That's fine. But I'm still confused that this configuration has a DNS SOA definition in there. I did have that previously and did get saved somehow. Let's go out here, destroy this VM, and convert a new one. For some reason, this was either retained or Chef appends my own definition to something that already exists. I have no idea why this configuration file didn't get rewritten completely with only the ICMP probe in there. I've never seen this before in 13 years. Very strange. Let's go into my VM. I can already do that, even though the convert run might still be running. Yes, it still is running, but since the VM is up, I can actually log in already. We could actually even go into, let's see, Prometheus and take a look around. So there's the black box exporter. And what? Okay. So if I convert this completely fresh, then it does work. And if I do a TKV, that should also work. Yep, everything green. Okay, let's try and see what happens if I edit this file and add something like this, where we say foo is also ICMP probe. Okay, now let's converge this again. I would expect it to be overwritten and to lose that foo part. And it does. Something was very strange with that VM. Don't ask me what happened there. It did overwrite the configuration file, and it should still work. Yeah. Okay. But that should actually conclude my setup of the black box exporter here. Black box Exporter config. Okay, we can actually push this. That way it's preserved.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Pixel Genesis, welcome to the stack and thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. I have no idea why my nice alert doesn't appear on screen when someone follows. That's also something that is seeing me stumped. I have my alerts included in this scene. And I actually tried that last time it happened. Let's see, if I go into Stream Elements and trigger a test. Maybe first, let's make sure that I'm using the right URL here. So if I go into my alerts, where are the alerts? Here. So here's the Stream Elements overlay and Streaming Tools overlays. I guess that's the yeah, 6117A something something. F. So if I emulate a follow,
It's a Unix system. I know this.
it doesn't appear on screen. Let's try again. It appears on the alerts overlay.
I know this.
Huh? I feel like I woke up today in a different universe where things don't work as they are supposed to work. Pretty sure you know what I mean. I didn't spend hours on building that alert to not have it appear on my stream. Ugh. Are you kidding me? Oh, wait. Oh, that doesn't look good. Oh, I think I transformed that into the abyss. Reset transform. Okay. I just noticed that there's no frame around the alerts layer, which usually should appear. So I must have pushed that off screen or something. No idea where it went, but now it should work. Let's see. Emulate a follower.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Uh-huh. Let's try again. Yeah, here we go.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Phew, okay. Maybe I should lock these. So I can't actually screw around stuff. Okay, everything's locked in place and should be working. Pixelgenesis, what brought you here? Getting hungry, and I'm also, yeah, coming up on the hour, so let's see how we can wrap a nice bow around all this. One thing that I still need to make sure is that I can actually run this black box exporter behind a proxy server to make sure that no one else can access these probes, because that's, I guess, easy to abuse if I keep this open on the internet. Ideally, we would run these probes on their own network, on a private network that can't even be accessed from the internet and only from our internal systems. And I guess eventually we need to switch to something like that, but we haven't that in place yet, and it's not easy to introduce with hundreds of Linux servers. So that's something that I'll leave to future us, and instead just make it possible that we can actually run the black box exporter behind a proxy server that does, for example, basic authentication. So we can define a listen address. We can also define an external URL, and we can define a path prefix. Okay, does that also get used? I mean, being able to define it is one thing. And yes, we have a listen address here. And we have a external URL that gets calculated by concatenating the external URL with the path prefix. So that way we can actually define that differently. The listen address would, for example, then, in the case of a proxy, be localhost 9115. And the external URL would then be, say, the host name plus the path prefix, which usually then is black box exporter. And of course, we'll have to set up a proxy server that takes requests to this external URL with this path prefix and then relay it to the listen address. And do a, say, basic authentication first, or we could actually set up a proxy server that checks the originating IP address and makes sure it's only the Prometheus server, or even more simple, if we run the black box exporter on the same node as the Prometheus server, we can actually use localhost as the listen address. And I think we should make this the default. That way, by default, the black box exporter only runs on localhost, and if Prometheus runs on the same node, it can actually talk to the black box exporter here. Let's see if this works. We'll do the default setup first, so it uses actually what I've just changed. So let's run the default test suite here. and I'll run tkt. So if there is an existing VM, it'll tear that down and start from scratch. So we have a very clean test here. And I'll do the same for the Prometheus test suite as well, which uses then the ICMP probe that I've pre-configured. We are also missing chat timers. What happened to those? Does Stream Elements do stuff in the first place? Yeah, it does. Very strange. Okay, so the default test did actually work. We were able to talk to localhost 9115 and got a response back. And if I do the same with the Prometheus, if I can type Prometheus, so it'll clean up the existing VM, spin up a new one, set up an ICMP probe and exercise that. We are also reaching the time where usually my OBS tends to crash. So if that happens, don't be too concerned. Since I'm going to wrap up anyway, I won't try and get the stream back online if that happens. Hopefully it doesn't. Maybe OBS runs more stable on Wayland, to which I've switched this week. So now we are verifying this, and tests are successful. So yeah, so we can actually run the black box exporter on localhost by default. That makes this usable for our purposes. I can't think of anything else that I need in this regard. So let me check what the related GitLab issue says. I don't think there needs to be an issue in here, namely the issue with the number 876. So where's 876? 874, 875, 878. Set up Prometheus black box exporter. There aren't any related issues here. Because I need to make changes in two different chef cookbooks. I should have created two different development issues here, so we can track them separately. Apparently I was too lazy, or I didn't see that at the time. I guess we'll do that now. Let's create a new issue. Do I create them as tasks? Let's see how this works with tasks. Set up basic black box exporter. Well, let's call it. Let's write it as a name: black box exporter configuration in Prometheus X. If I create this task, it'll get a new issue number, 880. And the second task that we need is set up production black box exporter configuration in Prometheus Freestyle. Which then is issue number 881. Okay. So I can assign myself. The label is the cookbook name Prometheus X. The workflow state is